Alright, what the fudge is good, y'all? I'm back for another Dokkan battle video, and I saw a very interesting tweet. Throughout this anniversary, one thing was for sure, Vegeta was 100% number one, no debate whatsoever. This guy booty blasted every single event in the game. That's how good he was, right? But guess what? We got the year 7 EZAs, and as somebody who always thought they would be broken because they have good skeleton, and the skeleton theory in Dokkan is 99.9% true, they're fudging very good. And now people are second guessing Vegito because I would say he's more susceptible to getting hurt than Gogeta. But I really wanted to talk about both of them because they're number 1 and 2 for sure. But who's number 1, right? In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter because they're both very fudging good, and that's what matters, and you can run them together. But I don't know, I felt like this is very interesting topic to talk about. So my boy, what he says is that if Vegeta was a permanent fusion, then yeah, he would have been number 1 for sure. But because of the 4 turn limit, so technically you can only use Vegito twice. I guess he's saying that he's limited on what he can do for 2 turns. Plus, when you unfuse, not having the Potara break is dangerous. While Gogeta himself doesn't have any like limitations or whatever, he comes out, he gets his big furry, you know what, and slaps every boss with it. So it's interesting. So I want to start by saying this. If you're talking about the peak of both characters, so I'm talking about the peak of Vegito and the peak of Gogeta, for sure Vegito gets it. Peak Vegito is one turning any boss in the fudging game. You got, first of all, having counters, double digit tanking supers by the way, stacking attack on counters, having taunt with counters, critting with counters, naturally you are beating any fudging boss. Like, that's no discussion, whatever. So talking about max, Vegito outshines Gogeta, that's for sure, that's no debate, right? However, if we're talking about base forms, I would say for sure base form Super Saiyan for Goku and Vegeta are better because they don't have any turn restrictions or whatever. I'll get back to reading comments. Let's look at kits, right? So this is Goku. So the main thing is that he does get up to 90% damage reduction, so it's 50, 70, 90, but this is second or third attacker in a turn, right? And this is the most important part. 3 turns from the character's entry turn. The problem becomes most events right now, they're kind of long events, so they're not short events. So you're going to turn 10 plus, so you're not getting this 90% damage reduction for sure. So that thing runs out, right? And then let's look at Vegeta. Ooh. And then for Vegeta, this is without his Potara break, right? That's a different. I'll say one more thing. Regarding complexity, Vegeta is probably the most complex character we have because there's just too much things you could do. You can stay slot 1, go slot 2, go to Vegito, don't go to Vegito, use Potara break. These are probably the most complex characters ever, and that's good. I like that. But being complex is not necessarily a good thing because there's a lot of restrictions and stuff, which we will be seeing, right? So for Vegeta, he has baseline 50%, so he can get up to 70 when receiving an attack with 10 or more ki, so that's always happening. And he's guarding, but as the first attacker, but guess what? He is stacking. He greatly raises defense on his ultra super attack, but on his regular 12 ki, he just raises defense. So for both super attacks, he is stacking. Good thing is he also does launch an additional super attack when he gets 20 or more ki spear. So the thing is, he's stacking defense, he has guard, he has 70% damage reduction. This is without Potara break, and this would be in first attacker of the turn. That's really fudging good, right? The thing is, the Vegeta form itself, I would say it's way better than the Goku form because the Goku form, he is losing out on things. Sad, right? But that's what it is. And then Vegeta, as slot 1, he's getting 70% damage reduction, guard, and he's stacking defense. So my issue, it's not even a bad issue, but my issue with Vegeta is that oh, he's also supporting right here. Supporting is always goes a long way. It makes better units better, makes good units gooder. Word creating. So the problem with Vegeta, I would say his damage is not insane, and it's whatever, because if you do go into Vegito, he is the most damaging unit in the game with his taunt, but Vegeta himself is not the most damaging unit in the game. So now this is where the complexity hits. Do you want to Patara Break? Because Patara Break, honestly, in a lot of scenarios, especially longer events, it's worth it. You're getting 3 key, attack and defense, and you're getting guard on both ends. So this applies to both Goku side and Vegeta side. What that means is that I'm not sure if he can tank super attacks or whatever, right? I'm pretty sure in most cases Goku will. What does he do on his super attacks? He's greatly raising defense on 1 turn. That's good. I think he can survive super attacks with his Patara Break. But that's only in slot 2, right? So if you do Patara Break, you are missing out on a lot of attack, because Vegito is the most damaging unit. However, the Goku side of the character does do a lot of damage, but it's not as much damage as Vegito is doing, and that's for sure. So you are missing out on that. But for longer events, would you rather play more safe or more risque, right? Most cases you probably want to play safer. That's why it's worth doing Patara Break, unless you have everything rainbow, like you're the truth. And I don't even need to talk about Vegito. Like, what doesn't he do? His nerf is he's only for 2 turns. That's his nerf. Other than that, he's God. He's literally God. And 100% his leader skill shits on Super Saiyan Force. It like poops on it so bad. He has a sexiest leader skill ever. Great on their part. And that's one thing you need to take into consideration is the leader skill, because that's very important. Okay, let's talk about the Force. So let's talk about the Force. First things first, these guys are just slot 1 units. That's good for short events and long events. For short events, what ends up happening is that the boss starts off with 1 million plus normals, 5 million plus supers. But with having 77% damage reduction, having guard, having this, these guys are tanking it really good. And that's good with their kit, because look over here, it launches an additional super attack, and if you look over here, it launches an additional super attack. If you look over here, it launches a additional super attack. I think they can launch up to 5. They have guaranteed 4 super attacks. So 1 is their ultra super, then 2, 3, 4. Oh, 4. And then you can also get hidden potential. So they can get up to 5 super attacks. Can I tell you what's crazy? This is what's crazy. Greatly raises attack and defense. Greatly raises both attack and defense. They're stacking attack and defense on both super attacks, while Vegeta is only doing great stacking on his ultra. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, they have guard. Granted, it's for 7 turns, but that's a lot. That's enough time for you to transform into Gogeta. And I guess that's all I need to say, because it's what they're doing in base is just stacking towards the GOAT himself, and then Gogeta's gonna mollywop every unit, right? It's nothing complex. They're also super effective, and I'll say I think they do be out damaging. I'm talking about from base, not from transform. From base, they do out damage these guys only because they're getting guaranteed crits, not guaranteed, but they're getting high chance of crits. They're super effective. They're doing like 5 super attacks, and they're stacking. That's kind of crazy, bro. This character is actually crazy. What were they smoking? They're smoking something good, because this character is good, very good. I think the one weakness they have, quote unquote weakness, is their turn 2, because turn 2, that's when they don't have this, and that's when they can't transform into Gogeta. So they, I guess if it's a big super attack, they can eat it, but you can put them in slot 2 and whenever, right? And this is low-key a non-issue because in long events you're still not dying, especially if you did stack enough in slot 1, I mean turn 1. So it's a non-issue, but you can take some damage. It's like, I'm just gonna throw it out there, right? It's a hypothetical that can happen. I want to say actually something about these guys. Talking about hypotheticals, a lot of, let's look at Int Jiren. I think he's considered the strongest boss in the game right now, and he does stun. So if you do transform into Vegito, he will end up stunning Vegito, and I think Vegito can still get his counters, but he won't do a super attack. So that's something, right? These guys can get countered from bosses, as we've seen previously. So that's just something to throw out there. And let's just talk about Gogeta real quick. So he has this. So again, let's say turn 3, I mean third time from appearance, he can have 77% damage reduction again. Okay, fudge all of this damage reduction BS. This guy's just not tanking damage. He's super attack countering. He's hitting very hard. He has crits. He has damage reduction. He has super effectiveness. He has guard. He has, you know what's the most broken thing about him actually? Is this part. Foresees enemy super attack. You know what this means? This means that you can pop it. See if they're super attacking slot 1 or slot 2. Close your app. Go back into base Super Saiyan for Goku and Vegeta, and then continue stacking. Granted, they're not super attacking. That's the most broken ability about this guy. No joke. I'm actually 100% serious. You cannot lose like that, because if you have to take the super, you take the super. If you can live without taking the super, you get more stacks. Win-win scenario. I don't get why the truth doesn't think foreseeing enemies attack is not broken, because personally, it's really broken because you can play around it, or you can just continue doing what you're doing. But playing around it, getting more stacks, is fudging OP. Like, I don't know. That's just something. He also has this stupidity. He gets 50% more damage reduction if he starts the turn with 50% or less HP. And this what makes Gogeta him, bro. This is the defining trait about Gogeta. So in the end, it comes down to two things: consistency versus straight out doing more damage, right? Let's look at Calcs 2 real quick. I'm not interested about Goku side. I'm more interested about Vegeta. So with 8, let's just look at 8 stacks, right? Because why not? So start of turn, he's getting around 1 million defense. So that's 1 million defense, guard, 70% damage reduction. This is with 8 stacks. So let's say he can stack up to 3 times, 2 times for sure, 3 times with hidden potential. He's getting to 1 million defense, and that's gonna be like maybe 3-4 turns with Vegeta on appearance. And then if you use your active, so your Potara break with stacks, it gets to 1.1 mil before super attacking. So he's good slot 1, that's for sure. And then this guy with 6 stacks. So let's say this is just 2 appearances. He's getting up to 1.7 million defense. Granted, no damage reduction, but he has guard. Plus, if you can transform into Gogeta, most of the time he will get more stacks. That's for sure, right? Most, like minimum, he's getting 8, 4, 4. So this is if you are not fused into Gogeta, but I told you before, you can just fuse in Gogeta, see if they're supering. If they're supering, leave Gogeta. If they're not, you can go back into base and continue stacking, right? But he has more start of turn defense. That's good. I don't know, I just found this screenshot. This is the battle hardened foes. Pause. And this is Goku taking like 200k damage from a normal. And Kid Buu, what the hell is this? Nah, we ain't talking about no red zone. Kid Buu, he's doing 1.4 on normals, but there's this as well, right? I want to let you know this is 55. That was 55%. So let's just read the comments. So, in my opinion, what would I say? Fudge it, I'll still say Vegito's better only because leader skill, and you can Potaro break and become consistent as well. But you can also do more damage from Vegito. But I think Vegito will age out when we get harder events, and that's for sure. When they give these gimmicks like stunning, super attack heal to these bosses, and then you can't use Vegito's taunt, and you only have 2 turns of those taunts, he will age out faster than Gogeta, because Gogeta he's the consistency GOAT. He's stacking, he's not taking damage, he's doing a lot of damage, he has no restrictions. Only restriction he has is guard. But fudge it, go into Gogeta, then you have permanent guard, right? So theoretically he has no weakness, and then Vegito has weaknesses, but Vegito's has higher peaks. So it's a discussion for sure. And if you say Gogeta's over Vegito, I don't give a fudge, bro. You're probably correct as well. But these guys are definitely Vegito, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Super Gogeta, and the gods. These guys are all top 5, bro. Okay, let's read the comments. Lamau, no. Okay, so this is a good case because this boss, he has no gimmicks to screw Vegito, and most bosses are like that. So Vegito is mollywopping these bosses. The rule of thumb is, if the bosses are not doing any cringe thing to Vegito, like I said before, like stunning, Vegito's gonna eat them alive, right? Okay, Gogeta does a lot of damage, but Vegito just does like 3 times more damage. Again, that's only in Vegito, but if you round it out, Gogeta technically can start doing more damage because you get Gogeta out for the whole fudging event. Vegito's only 2 turns. So that's definitely something to think about. This is definitely true. Situations where Gogeta is better, like Ant Jiren. Ant Jiren is probably the blunder on Vegito's report card. But he doesn't even do that bad. He just doesn't get his super attack off. My boy sees this. Being turn limited means nothing at the moment since all the content in the game gets swept in a single turn by Vegito as soon as he comes out. Okay, true, but okay, this is for me. I do have Vegito at 55%, so I'm not sure if it's the same for Rainbow, but let's say there's a boss where the last stage and the second last stage, and it's a long event, are both difficult. So if you don't fuse into Vegito right away, so you want to fuse Vegito in the second last phase, he beats the last phase easy, but then he becomes susceptible to damage in the last stage. Vice versa, you want to fuse Vegito in the last stage, but he becomes susceptible to damage second last phase. I just used phase and stage wrong, but you get what I mean, right? That definitely does exist for me at 55%. I'm not sure if it's the same for Rainbow, but that's definitely an issue. So after reading all of this, I think the general thesis is that Vegito is out damaging Gogeta, and 2 turns is all you need with Vegito. But later on in the game's lifespan, we can get harder events and Vegito will age out faster than Gogeta. It's true, but one thing that I don't honestly know is people are saying Vegito outright out damages Gogeta. You need to think about it like this. For long events, Gogeta is Gogeta starting from 3rd turn on appearance, right? And I would say at some point you are out damaging with Gogeta because he's just permanent. Vegito is 2 turn. On that 1 turn with taunt, you are out damaging. But if you look at the end of the event, and if it's a long event, you can end up doing more damage as Gogeta. It is what it is. It's just that on his taunt turn, he's better for sure. He's the best unit in the game. Anyways, this is very interesting. I would love to see what you say down below. If you made this far in the video, like, subscribe, and peace.